Hey, hello traders. This is Dave with the Compass Options Trading Room and Text Alert Service. I'm going to do a video tonight on a couple of things here, but I'm going to do a Compass system video on the Compass system itself and the indicators within the Compass system that allows us to identify when institutions are in the trades. This is a big deal. It's very important to know when institutions are in the trade. That's what those are the trades you want to be in, and you don't want to be in them when the institutions are not in the trade. So I'll go over those, and I'll go over how to use some of those indicators in our trading. So again, it's Dave with the Compass Options Room. So let's get started. Again, this is indicator trading. I'm going to talk about the Compass room, the Compass system indicators, and how to use them in trading. So first thing I need to do, of course, is a disclaimer. All signals and trading opportunities we provide here are for educational and demonstration purposes only. Trading is very risky, so you should never trade with more money than you can afford to lose. All right, moving along here, this is just a graphic representation of the alert service that I have. You get text alerts. When we find high probability trades, we send them out on SMS text alerts to all our members of the alert service. Okay, so we have in the room and on the alert service, we have a couple of rules that we trade by. First thing is trade the best, skip the rest. This is why we use the Compass system to find these high probability trade setups and only trade those. The second thing is our objective is not to make trades. Our objective is to make money. We do that by taking only the very best trades. So those are what we try to stick to. Easier said than done, of course, but I'll show you how we find these. All right, so and again, profitable traders, as retail traders, we need an edge. Everybody needs an edge as a retail trader. Our edges are, we use the right line Compass system, which I'm going to show you because it identifies when institutions are in the trade and when they're not. We trade relative strength and relative weakness. This is not RSI. This is when if the SPY is going sideways or down and the stock you're looking at is going up, you've got relative strength, and vice versa. It's relative weakness. This is really important. And if you've got these two things in your favor, if you've got the institutions in there and you've got a relative strength and relative weakness, then the chances of the institutions driving that trade is extremely high, in the 90-some-odd%. And then we try to trade with the market trend if there is a market trend, and we try to buy near support and sell near resistance, so we're not chasing trades. Right, so that's kind of an overall view of the kind of trades that we take. So the topics I'm going to cover tonight, I'm going to look at the Compass indicators. I'll show you them on the Compass charts. We'll go over those in detail. I'm going to show you how to find relative strength and relative weakness. I think I just explained it to you, so it's not that complicated. You just need to be watching how your stock is trading versus the SPY on a 5-minute chart. And we're going to talk about technical charts, tell a story. This is what would be considered context. When you're looking to take a trade, you should be looking at the daily chart and the 5-minute chart, but the daily chart especially. And those charts will tell you a story about that particular stock. And it's very important to understand what it's trying to tell you as to whether you're going to go long or go short or not take the trade. We'll talk about finding and using support and resistance. I'll show you what some of the levels we use for that. And one of the things I want to talk about right now is algos have taken over the market, and let's join them. Basically, algos are taking about 85% or more of the trades that get taken. And these are computer programs that the institutions have, and they call them algos. And they basically are doing most of the trading. Now, one of the things algos can do is they can take money from retail traders. And I want to talk a little bit about how that happens. Before we do that, let's explain what drives the market. So this is just kind of a graphic representation of traders. This is us as retail traders here. And we as retail traders, we don't have the ability to move a stock. When we're trading and the institutions aren't in there, all we're getting is a lot of chop and chaos in the market. And we don't want to be in there when it's just retail traders. These are the institutions. These are the big boys. These are Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, all the hedge funds, hundreds and hundreds of hedge funds with billions of dollars, mutual funds, Vanguard, T. Rowe Price, all these big hedge funds, mutual funds, as well as pension funds, state pension funds, police pension funds, fire pension funds. They have billions of dollars to trade and invest, and that's what moves the market. So what we try to do here at the Compass system is to try to find when the institutions are in the trade and when they're not, and join the institutions. You're not going to be able to beat the institutions. What you're going to do is you're going to beat these other retail traders. And make no mistake, when you're going to trade and you're trading against other retail traders, you're going into a battle with them. And if you get better tools than they do, they're coming in with a pop gun and you're coming in with a bazooka. You're gonna take money from them. And by having the information that they don't have, that's how that's done. So again, we're going to talk about this, how algos take money from retail traders and how they've taken over the market. All right, so again, algos have taken over the market. So most of the trades are coming from institutions. Most of the big trades are coming from institutions. And we've got to be able to identify that and join them. We want to, when they're in there, we want to be in. When they're not in, we don't. But algos also have become fairly sophisticated over the years. And you may have noticed that when you get into a trade, and maybe you're using something like MACD crossovers or RSIs or Fibonacci's, the algos know how retail traders trade. They understand what the standard retail trader is looking for, and they can program these algos to identify those situations and exploit the retail traders. They'll take a MACD cross, they'll drive it up so that it looks like you're going to be successful on it, or a stock breaks through what you've got as a support or resistance level. It looks like you're going to be successful on it, and then they'll go in there and then they'll reverse that on you and trap you in the trade. And this happens a lot, and they actually write programs to do that. So that's why knowing when they're in there in force and when they're just in here messing around with retail traders is really important to know that. So what we look for is we look for situations where we can identify that institutions are in the trade and they're in it in big time. In other words, there's a lot of institutions trading in the same directions, not just a few algos in there trying to trap a few retail traders. We don't want to be in those trades. Okay, so the Compass system I want to talk about here, if you're not familiar with it, it's basically a piece of software that runs, in my room it runs on Thinkorswim. It also can run on Ninja. But it basically is going to identify the highest probability trade setups and let us avoid the ones that look good but will fail more often than they succeed. And the Compass system does this by identifying when institutions are driving the move and when they're not. This is what it's for. It analyzes complex trading data and displays the results in easily identifiable visual format. And this is really important because the format of the Compass system on Thinkorswim is basically its colors. The indicators are color coded, so it's easy to tell whether you've got a bullish trade or a bearish trade or a neutral trade. They're really, really important. Even for a new trader, you can identify that. And again, this is what gives us an edge over other retail traders. We're only taking trades that are being driven by the institutions. We're trading stocks that have relative strength or relative weakness, which means if we're in a trade and it has relative strength and the market turns against us, it's not going to fall as fast. It's not going to go against us as fast because it had relative strength to start with. This relative strength is underutilized and it's not understood very well by most retail traders. This is really a key thing. So by knowing when the institutions are in there and then trade stocks that the institutions are in that also have relative strength and relative weakness, you're really increasing your likelihood of being successful on the trade. And again, we want to trade in the direction of the overall market if there is a direction. And it gives us an edge. How does it give us an edge? Well, our trades are going to be supported by institutional buying or selling. They're going to be outperforming the SPY and they're going to be moving in the direction of the overall market. It's a big deal. I mean, this gives you a huge edge over the other retail traders. All right, so what we're going to talk about here is on the Compass system, I'm going to talk about the indicators that are actually on here, and then I'm going to bring up the chart and go over them with you. But it's two sections to the chart. Let me just look at a chart here for a second. Hold on. Let me just bring up the Compass system here so you can see it. Okay, so this is the Compass system. Let me get the scanner out of the way. This is the Compass system. This is the ES futures on a 5-minute chart tonight. But these are the bottom indicators that we're going to be talking about here. And then we have the upper indicators that I'm going to be talking about. All right, so we'll go over these and then we'll come back to look at the actual charts. That's what the Compass system looks like. You can see the different colors. You've got red and yellow for shorts and green and blue for longs. And we're looking for those to be it's the same pretty much as much across the board as we can. All right, so we're going to go over these indicators right now. So the first thing we're going to look at is the current time frame momentum, which is the most critical, to me, is the most critical one. This is if you're on a 5-minute chart, this is going to be the current time frame momentum on a 5-minute chart. If you're on a daily chart, it's going to be the current time frame momentum on the daily chart if you're looking at a daily. The second thing we're going to look at out there will be the other indicator is called multi-time frame momentum. So again, this is momentum on the current time frame. This is multi-time frame momentum across 3 different time frames. So if you're looking at a 5-minute chart, you get a 5-minute, a 5, a 15, and a 45. All of these are going to be important, and we want them to be going in the same direction. The next thing that's on that bottom of the indicators is the long-term trend, which is important, and then the derivative money flow, which is the least important. These are the 2 critical ones that I look at when I'm looking to take trades: the current time frame momentum and the multi-time frame momentum. Now, the other indicators on the, actually, this is the top section of the chart. I don't know why I said it's the bottom. You've got a 15 EMA of an EMA. I'll show you that. That's basically a current time frame trend or a short-term trend. We use on the 5-minute chart, we use the VWAP, the volume weighted average price. This is critical for 5-minute charts. I don't use it on the daily chart, only on a 5-minute chart. And it's pink on my layout. That's why I've got this thing in pink. We also look at a pivot point. We have an individual pivot point that's a white line on the compass system that we use. We also have what's called pop out of the box arrows, pop signals, and these identify breaks of compression. Breaks of compression to the upside or to the downside. One other thing that's in there is dynamic compression zones. This is another type of compression zone that the compass system calculates and puts on the chart. And the final things we have is trend dots, which basically just is exactly what it says. It identifies, you can identify these there, red, yellow, and green. Depending on what the trend is, it'll show you what the current time frame trend is on the chart you're looking at. So those are the indicators that we're going to look at. And again, these are the most important here: the current time frame momentum and the multi-time frame momentum. And then these are very critical, mostly on the 5-minute chart, to enter and exit our trades. Right now, one of the things I want to talk about here, this is kind of, we're going to talk about momentum and what momentum really is. And a lot of traders don't understand what momentum is. This is one of the critical things in determining if institutions in a trade. But many traders misunderstand what constitutes momentum. Right? A lot of people think it's like if you're in a car and you step on the gas and it accelerates, that's momentum. In other words, the stock is going up really fast, and that is momentum in the stock. That's not how momentum is measured. All right, so what is momentum really? All right, so this little chart is going to show you what momentum really is. So this is just a graphic representation of candlesticks. This is a candlestick. They can be any time frame. Let's say they're 5-minute time frames. You notice on the candlesticks, this is this whole side of the high and the low of the candlestick. This is where it closed here on this blue line. Then the next candlestick, see, this is the high and low of the candlestick, and the close. You see how the close is closer to the top than it was on the previous one. Doesn't mean the price is moving up fast, but it means that we have an acceleration in momentum. Then you go to another candlestick, and the close gets even closer to the high of that particular candlestick. And as it keeps doing that, it gets closer and closer to the high of the candlestick. This is what constitutes momentum, not the speed of the price moving up, but the actual close on the candlesticks that's showing more and more institutional buying coming in to drive this price to higher, to the very max of what that candlestick was. So this is acceleration, and this is a momentum. This is how we in the compass system, this is how we measure momentum. And this is, like I said, this is misunderstood by a lot of traders. They think a stock that's moving up really fast, they call it Momo because it's moving fast, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it has a good momentum. And this is, of course, the deceleration as it moves down. Again, you see how the closing of the candle is in the middle here, closer to the bottom, closer to the bottom yet. That is momentum to the downside. So this is what constitutes momentum, and this is what we're looking for in the compass system. And we're looking for this exact same setup across multiple time frames. So when we're looking at a multi-time frame momentum that's green, this is occurring on the 5-minute, the 15-minute, the 45-minute. If you're looking at the daily chart, this exact same is happening on the 1-day, the 3-day, and the 9-day. You're getting exactly the same kind of momentum across 3 different time frames. All right, and same thing to the downside. So that is what momentum is. That's what we're measuring, and this is what tells us that the institutions are coming into the trade or in there driving that trade. All right, so I'm going to look at the compass system charts installed on Thinkorswim, and we're going to go over some of these indicators. So let me just bring up the charts that I just had here a second ago. So let's go. Let me do something here. Let me just move to a stock instead of just the ES, and I'm gonna go back today, and we'll look. First thing we're going to look at a daily chart, right? So we're going to look at a Netflix. I'm going to switch over to a daily chart on Netflix right here. Right. So this is a daily chart on Netflix. Now, you can see each one of these candlesticks is a day, and you can see the pattern here. You can see the information that we have. Now, here are indicators that we were talking about on the bottom of it. This is the current time frame momentum. This is momentum on a daily chart. This is what this momentum looks like on a daily chart. You see how it's gone from red to blue to green. This is a bullish. Now, the multi-time frame momentum across the multiple time frames has been green for a good long time here, even though the stock's moving sideways. So again, this is indicating that there's momentum across multi-time frames, but you notice the price isn't really going anywhere, but it's telling us that it's likely to be bullish. And as we get to the 5-minute, as the 5-minute turns green, now you're in a position where once this goes to blue and then green, this is where you want to say what would want to get into the trade, right? Because you're looking at multi-time frame and current time frame momentum lined up. As long as it's green or blue, it's going to tell you that this is a good long. And even in this case, this here is the long-term trend, and this is the derivation of money flow. Everything's green across the board. This screams at us that the institutions are buying Netflix. All right, we're looking at this trade. Netflix is being bought by the institutions. Now, on the upper level of this chart, this green line right here, this is the 15 EMA of an EMA. This is the smooth EMA, and you can see that it's also green and sloping up. So it has a trend moving in our favor, and we get the long-term trend moving in our favor. This shaded area right here is what I had mentioned was the dynamic compression zone. This dynamic compression zone is telling the compass system is measuring that, and it's finding the stock is moving out of compression. It tries to get out, it pulls back, tries to get out, it pulls back. You see you wouldn't be touching it here because it's red and yellow. Now you're getting a breakout of the dynamic compression zone and it's back in blue. This is where you would take the trade. This is where Netflix is going to work for you, and this is where it's likely to work for you. And this is a break. You notice we're coming off a support, which is the 15 EMA right here, and it's coming out of a dynamic compression zone. It's an excellent place to get long, and the compass system is telling you all of these things about this particular stock. All right, so that's Netflix today on a daily. Now let me keep to the same stock. Let's go back to the 5-minute chart so you can see how you can use this on a 5-minute. Now, remember, everything here now is reflecting 5 minutes. Notice how we've got some red. This is at the end of the day. This was Netflix on a 5-minute chart at the end of the day right here. A couple of things on here. You see this pink line? That's the volume weighted average price. Let's go back to the beginning of today. I'm going to go back to the open this morning. All right, so here's the open this morning. Netflix not doing too much. Here's a couple of indicators on here that I want you to be aware of. Okay, so you can see that it's kind of bearish on the 5-minute chart. So if you liked it on the daily, you wouldn't want to be taking it right now. You'd be waiting for this stock to turn bullish on the 5-minute chart. You know it's bullish on the daily chart, but you'll wait for the 5-minute chart to tell you that the institutions are in here again on the 5 minutes. And so you can see here they're not right here. Now there's a couple of things on here that's pretty important. This white line right here is what's called the pivot point. This is the pivot point I mentioned. This pivot point, this white pivot point line is extremely important for support and resistance. As the stock bounces off that pivot point, then it gives you an indication that it's likely to go higher. Now the pink line is the volume weighted average price. Before you would get long a stock, like Netflix, whether you're going to take it for intraday or whether you're going to take it for a short-term swing. You want the stock, we wait for it to get above this pivot point and above this VWAP, and for your indicators to turn green and blue. All right, so we're not really getting a lot of force here. We've got a current time frame is turning blue, and I'm going to go over a method we use for trading intraday trades by using this. But you notice the multiple time frame right here, multiple momentum, is still red, and it's switching back and forth between red and yellow, blue and yellow, blue and yellow. So it's telling you that it's chopping. But the current time frame, the 5-minute, is looking pretty good here. So we're getting some decent looking moves in here, but it's still pretty choppy. So let's move along a little bit. All right, now, as we move along to about 11:30, now we've got green across the board. Everything is green here. So this says Netflix is looking pretty good. And we're above the VWAP and we're above the pivot point. This is a good place to take an entry. And now we're getting some pop out of the box symbols. These are the pop out of compressions. The compass is telling us that Netflix is dropping out of compression on the 5-minute chart. There's the compression right there. There's the pop out of it. And it's bullish because we've got basically green across the board, and it's starting to pop out of compression. So we could take it long here. Now, I don't even know what it did today, but let's take a look. All right, so we're moving along, and the stock is staying above the 15 EMA here. We're starting to get a little bit of yellow and red here. So we know we've got a lot of chop in Netflix right now. So we're not going to be too enthusiastic about this. Matter of fact, if we're long this right here and we get this big push up around 12:45, if I'm in it, this is where I'm going to take it off. If I'm in it for an intraday trade. If I'm in it for a swing trade, I'm just going to focus on the daily chart. But this is where I would get out of the trade on Netflix. And you can see that it got chopped around again through most of the day. So very, very, very choppy on the 5-minute chart today, and then it closed out pretty weak at the end of the day. But we know the daily chart on Netflix is really nice. All right, it's really, really nice. Now, one of the trades we took in the room today was GLW, right here. So this is GLW on the daily chart. See, coming out of dynamic compression, popping up above this breakout right here from previous days. So we've got green across the board. So on the daily chart, GLW looks good, which means I can hold this. I took options out into July on GLW. So that means I can hold this trade for a while. Now, if we go in and look at a 5-minute chart, let's go back and see what it did early in the day where we took it. All right, so here's GLW this morning. Gapped up and rode along the VWAP. This is the volume weighted average price. Again, you cannot go long a stock until it's above the VWAP. You can't go short a stock until it's below the VWAP. Right now, we're just riding it along here, and there's no reason for me to get into this right now. But notice here, everything goes to green, and I'm getting a pop out of the box symbol, and I want to hold this stock. I want to go long this stock, and I want to hold it for a few days at least. So this is, for as I'm concerned, this is a good level to get in right here. Everything's green. It's above the VWAP. I'm getting a pop out of the box symbol. The trend line is moving up. This is good. This is a good position for us to get in. And this is what it did the rest of the day. It moved up. We were in profits for a while, and it made a nice run right here. We actually probably could have taken profits right here, but I want to hold this for a while. So it came down with the market late in the afternoon, but notice it never got below the VWAP. You see how it stayed? The VWAP offered nice support here. So again, I like the daily chart. I don't have any problem holding this. I'm trading it off of the daily chart, and this is where what I like about this. This is that big pullback we just saw at the end. All it is that just that little bitty nub at the top, that little bit of wick at the top of that candle. So that's why I took that one long, and that's what we look for. And so you can do this for any particular stock that you want to take. If you're looking like an NVIDIA, heavily traded stock here is NVIDIA today. Go back to the open, see big gap up, and then pulls down. See the pivot point right there, falls below the pivot point, then comes back up above the pivot point. It just kind of moves sideways, and finally we get some current momentum. Right here, the multi-time frame momentum. This is the current time frame momentum on the 5-minute. We get a little pop up, so it looks pretty good, but it's very, very choppy. All right, NVIDIA very choppy till later in the day. But here's what the key is on NVIDIA. You like it because the daily chart looks really, really nice. This is NVIDIA. It did a 10-for-1 split, And this is NVIDIA right here in this dynamic compression zone looking to break out. But it's still all green across the board on NVIDIA, so the daily chart is good and long. So that daily chart will tell you when to trade it long and when not to. And so it's a good stock to trade. Pull back right to the pivot point at the end of the day, but again, market pulled back a little at the end. It was only down just 10 cents or so, so pretty nice. So you can do this for any stock that you want to. I mean, if you look at Google, we're in a trade on Google right now. We have what's called a weekly ATM on Google. We switch over to the daily chart. Google, what I'm looking for on this is basically for the stock to just move sideways for the next few weeks so I can keep selling puts against it. So this is Google. It's definitely bullish. It's coming out of dynamic compression, very choppy here, but still a pretty nice trade for the strategy we've got, because you have to trade specific strategies based on your stock and what the market's doing. This is a stock where we're capturing a premium by selling puts against it every week with a longer term put. It's what's called a weekly ATM. But I just want to show you that. So these are indicators that the Compass system has, and we'll go into this in a little bit more detail as far as that's concerned. Let me just switch back here. All right, so those are the that Compass system is installed on Thinkorswim. So that is my Thinkorswim chart that in my room I keep that up all day long, and those are the indicators that are telling us what the market is, what they're doing. What we look at for high probability trade setups, and we just talked about this, is we look at the indicators for this. I want my daily chart and my 5-minute chart to align. So if I'm going to go long, my daily chart's got to be bullish, has to be bullish. And then I look for an entry using the 5-minute chart to get in the trade. And as long as I've got a bullish daily chart, if it goes against me during the day, I can stay in the trade and I can hold it overnight because the daily is still bullish. Then we want to trade with the market trend if there is one. And then the Compass indicators also need to align. If we're going long, these Compass indicators, especially the multi-time and current time frame momentum and the current time frame momentum, both need to be blue or green. I want the Compass indicators to tell me that the institutions are in there and my daily chart is nice and long. Then we look on the 5-minute chart, we're going to look for relative strength and relative weakness. And we're going to enter the trade when the stock is showing relative strength or relative weakness to the SPY. So in a particular case of GLW, when I went into it today, it was trending up faster than the SPY was. So it had good relative strength to the market. That's what you want. And then you want to try to be near some support level for a long or some resistance level for a short, so you're not chasing the trade too much. And I'll show you one of the other charting systems I use where we can identify that a little bit more clearly. But this is the high probability trade setup funnel that I call. You take a stock that you're looking at, you look to see if it meets these criteria. If it drops out the bottom, it becomes a potential prospect for you to take a trade on. And again, this is the funnel method written out. The key things here is the stock has to have a daily and a 5-minute chart aligned, and the Compass indicators need to be aligned, and you want relative strength and relative weakness. These 3 things here are going to give you a huge edge over the rest of the retail traders if you're trading these 3 things. Institutions are in the trade, the daily chart is lined up in the direction you want to go, and the stock has relative strength or relative weakness to the SPY. Those 3 things are going to make a huge difference in your trading. And obviously the stock needs to be above the VWAP for long and below the VWAP for short on a 5-minute chart. All right, and you must have patience. That's the very key thing. You must have patience because you got to wait. You have to wait for these stocks to come to you. All right, so that is really important as well. All right, and I'll talk a little bit in the room here. The strategies we use in the options room and the alert service, we use straight calls and puts. I use debit spreads using weekly options expiration. I use time spreads over earnings, which capture the volatility crush. These are non-directional trades. The weekly ATM is what I was talking about with Google. We're selling puts on a weekly basis against a stock we've got a longer term put as protection further out in time, and we can keep just harvesting premium from that week after week after week. And we do credit spreads as well. And I do also a thing called the SPY super system, which I'm going to show you because this applies to stocks as well as the SPY and the Qs for how we use these things. So you see what I've got down here. Yeah, so this is intraday trading uses the Compass current time frame momentum 5-minute indicator. This is what the SPY super system uses, and you can use the same thing for stocks, right? And I'll show you that. Basically, for a bullish trade, you want the momentum indicator to change from red or yellow to blue or green. All right, so let's switch to the SPY for a minute, to the Compass system for a minute. Here you go. All right, so you're looking for these to switch. You see how this is a daily chart. Let me look at the 5-minute chart right here, and I want to show the SPY. Right, so we go back in time today. Now this is one I took today, and you see this. You see the color here. This is, and what we're doing this is on the 5-minute. We're using the current time frame momentum right here. And when you get a stock that is bullish on the day, which the SPY was bullish, it was above the VWAP. See the VWAP is down here, and it's coming across compression. And you notice how it goes from red to blue. All right, so this is where I took the SPY trade right here, right on this candlestick, coming off the 15 EMA. On a blue change from red to blue right here, and I took this and I wrote it up and I get out right here. Now that was, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but I had like 10 SPY contracts, and that little pop up there made me about $500 just in that little move. But you see how it turned green. Now it stays green, but in these trades I typically try to take them fairly quickly because it could go against you. I could have stayed in it, of course, and it kept on going up. It did go higher. But you notice how this went from yellow to red to blue. This is the momentum indicator telling you that the stock has now become a long. All right, and you notice how it stayed green for a good long time before it starts chopping. You see how it starts chopping around here, and it went from yellow to green here as well. And this was another quick trade, but you're in a dynamic compression zone, so not really something I would have traded right there. But I did trade that one, and that's how that worked. So that's one of the things that's one of the trades we do on this 5-minute current time frame momentum right here. So again, the momentum indicator changes from red or yellow to blue or green for bullish. The stock price is positive for the day. The stock needs to be green for the day. The stock price is above the VWAP on a 5-minute chart. There should be no nearby resistance, such as a pivot point, that would block the stock from moving up, and higher probability on bullish trending days like today. So this, if you can learn this and trade off the Compass system using this kind of a trade, you're going to do very well on intraday trades. Now this is not something for swing because you're doing this on a 5-minute chart, but this is something that would be a fairly quick trade. A lot of times 3 candles, 4 candles, 5 candles, and you get a nice trade out of that. Now using it for bearish trades, same thing. Momentum indicator changes from blue or green to red or yellow. All right, so that's important. The stock price is negative for the day. We don't want to be going short a stock that's bullish on the day. The stock price is below the VWAP, must be below the VWAP on the 5-minute chart. Again, there should be no nearby support, such as a pivot point below you. That could offer support for the stock. You want it to have some room to fall, and it's going to be a high probability in bearish trading days. So those are the strategies that you can use on a 5-minute chart to trade stocks or the SPY. I mean, this SPY worked pretty good. This GLW right here, you see how just GLW, see how this went from red to blue right here? All right, now if we go back out, we got to go find the VWAP. It's well below us, okay? So it went from red to blue. This is a current time frame momentum going from bearish to bullish. This is telling you that the momentum is increasing here. The institutions are coming in. We've already got the long-term momentum, multi-time frame momentum is already green. This is where you would grab it, and this is where you could ride it from here, which is about 38.38 up to about 39.15. Not a big deal, but on options, this is a big deal. So that would be an intraday trade. And here it switched to bearish, but you can't take it bearish because the stock is green for the day. It's above the VWAP. The stock is bullish, so you're not going to be taking any bearish trades on a bullish stock. So that was a trade for GLW. So you can use this for the Qs, for the SPY, for any particular stocks that you like, and it has a very high success rate. But you got to be able to manage them, and you got to be able to handle them fairly quickly. That's really important to be able to do that. All right, so those are examples of this particular methodology right here, which is the same methodology I use for what's called the SPY super system. SPY super system, and you're just taking the SPYs or the Qs off of this exact same setup. So this is really important. And if you're using the compass system, you can trade off of this, especially on choppy days, because a lot of times you can't find anything to trade. But if you can find a good stock, that this will work. It'll work well. And we're working on actually having a scan to identify stocks that are switching from red or yellow to blue, or vice versa. So when we get a stock that's switching over from bullish to bearish, we can go short, and bearish to bullish. It'll come up on our scan to go long. All right. So this is a pretty nice way to trade stocks off the compass system. And you've got, again, when it's doing this, remember, it's telling you that the institutions are in there to trade with you, because you likely have better relative strength. You obviously have the current time frame momentum in your favor, which means the institutions are in there buying. All right. So I'm going to look at some charts for trade setups on the compass system. Let me just look one more time here. Let me just zip over here and let me just look at what I've got written down for some stocks. Right, we're going to take a look at Walmart. Now these are going to be daily charts. So let's take a look at Walmart. Okay, does Walmart look like a good long here? It does. All right, see the green here? Institutions are buying this thing. Notice they've been buying it, but the stock's been kind of moving sideways. Even though momentum is strong, again, price doesn't have to go up just because momentum is strong, but the momentum is strong here. But here we're breaking out of this dynamic compression box. So this is a nice little area for Walmart to go long right here in Walmart. Right, these are just a few that I had jotted down today. Autodesk. See Autodesk here. You notice how the multi-time frame just went from yellow to blue today. Current time frame is already green. So we've got bullish here. Now we have a long-term trend that's still yellow because it's been chopping around a lot, but it's switching over to bullish here, and it's a decent setup on the daily chart. All right, Autodesk. Let's see, Applied Materials, another good one. Let's get Applied Materials. I'm just trying to show you how the compass system indicators how you can trade off of these things. All right, so here's Applied Materials. This was a nice entry right here, and it still looks good here. Notice how it compressed here, and now it popped up today. Nice long entry for Applied Materials right here. Let's see, BBY, another one. Again, see how it went from red to blue today, and everything else is green because it's popping out here. It's getting a nice little pop. This was earnings here. It popped up, it compressed, moving out. If it goes blue tomorrow, if it goes green tomorrow, and it's on the 5-minute chart or the daily chart looks good, gets above the breakout here today, then it's a good long, right? In that BBY. So that's how we find these things, and it's really important because the compass system is telling you whether the institutions are in these or not. You can see here's Palantir. See, it's been kind of weak lately, but it's moving up and chopping. But here's a big candle today where we went from yellow to blue on the daily chart, and everything else is bullish. This is a beautiful breakout. This is telling you that the institutions are in there buying Palantir today. And you can look on the short side as well. All right, here's ExxonMobil. ExxonMobil, how does this look to you? Looks like the institutions are selling the crap out of this thing, and it's coming out of dynamic compression. Definitely, and oil's been pretty weak, so this is a nice setup for short. I mean, the compass system is telling you that you can take that short. A couple of other ones here. Para, another nice short setup here on Para, coming out of dynamic compression right here. See how this went from blue to yellow? We already had red here. Now we're bearish across the board here, except we had this is the derivative money flow. This is the last thing I checked, but this was important right here. This was a good breakdown, and this would have been a perfect place to get in. Dynamic compression zone breakout, pop out of the box symbol. Compass system's telling you that this is breaking to the downside, and it's moving down. It's paramount. I've got a couple other here I want to look at. Sedge. Sedge is short. Here you go. Looks the same as XOM. See the compression here? But the institutions have been selling this thing for a long time. And to now they're selling it off. So this is moving down pretty hard. This is solar stock, and this is Solar Edge moving down pretty weak today. And again, if we switch over to look at the daily chart on Sedge, see that it closed the day very weak. Back, see how it pulled below the VWAP. So this is it's a nice trade for short. It did move up a little bit today above the VWAP, but it came back down again below it. But if you're looking at the daily chart's bearish, and now right now in the 5-minute chart at the end of the day ends up bearish as well. And so I just kind of going over these setups so you can see how the Compass system can be used to find these kind of trades. This really can help traders become really effective by going over those criteria that I just listed. All right. So, and if we look at some of the trades that we've done before, this is a trade we did in Tesla. You can see how the institutions are buying this. It's all green. See how it's kind of moving sideways here. This is where we get in on this breakout of this compression zone right here. We buy this and just ride this thing up. This is a 5-minute chart in Tesla. This was MDT. This was another one we had. You notice how we get in, see how it went yellow to blue? Right there as it's sliding along 15 EMA. All right, and again, this is a VWAP. I don't use it on the daily chart. Popping in right here, we made 25% on MDT in about a half an hour or so. Vertex, same thing. Again, all green across the board. So you can see over and over again what this Compass system will do for you. This is really important because it's telling us that the institutions are selling. Look how much they're selling here. Even though the stock's kind of chopping around, it's telling you that there's going to be this heavy selling coming in, and there it is right there. It's popped down in Dollar Tree, and this was a nice one. In Crowd, bounced right here, came out of dynamic compression. You see this? We went yellow to blue, and it chopped around, so you have to be a little cautious. But the current time frame went to blue and stayed green the whole way on the daily chart. So that was also another nice trade. Amazon, another nice trade, 32% in 45 minutes. Notice we went all green across the board except for this multi-time frame trend, which I don't follow as much. I mean, it helps if it's green, but when this stuff goes green, the monthly time frame momentum and the current time frame momentum on the 5-minute chart, I'm in on something like that, and that was 32%. So that's kind of what we get. There's Verizon. That was another beauty. This is a 5-minute chart. See how it broke below the VWAP? See the current Compass indicators right here, all red. We know that the institutions are selling it. We jumped in here. We took a 50% profit in an hour. We actually get in at 45 cents. This was the options on Verizon are pretty cheap. We paid 45 cents for an in-the-money next week option, and we get out an hour later for 67 cents. So 10 contracts turned 450 into 670 bucks. So that's what this looks like. I just kind of wanted to go over the Compass system with everybody so you could see what those indicators look like and how to use them. There they are on the daily chart right there. But it's a really makes it so much easier if you need to have some sort of methodology that you can follow and some rules that you can trade by. And this really makes it such a big help, because if you're trading off of the Compass system and you're looking to only take trades when the institutions are in there, and you're using relative strength and relative weakness as one of your other key criteria, you're going to be in really good shape. And again, you got to stay above the VWAP in a 5-minute. There's a few other criteria, but you can look at that funnel that I showed you. But that's what this will do for you. So I hope that helps a little bit. How to intraday trade, like off the SPY right here. Nice little daily chart. This is a daily chart, but if it was a 5-minute chart, this would be an entry for a 5-minute entry right here. So that's the methodology. That's the system I use. That's the Compass system. This is the strategies we use in the room. And I hope this helps you to understand these Compass indicators, because there were others before. I've modified these, and I'm only using the indicators that are the most important. Again, most important to me, right here, current time frame momentum, multi-time frame momentum. These two are my #1 indicators that I follow. Right? These are really important. Everything else helps, but these are really, really important. And then again, if you're on a 5-minute chart, you want the stock to be above the VWAP. It's critical that the stock is above the VWAP for going long and below the VWAP for going short. See the VWAP's way down there. those are critical. The pop out of the box symbols are also very helpful, as is the 15 EMA, because that becomes a support level or a resistance level, and the dynamic compression zone. Those are the things that you can use to put it all together. It's kind of like a little bit of a small jigsaw puzzle. You put the pieces together. When they fit together, you've got a really high probability of taking a winning trade. And that's what we look for. That's what I alert on. Those are the things that we have to take. So again, we're always cognizant of the market. The market is the most important thing. Most stocks follow the market. It's our job to follow the market and to take the trades that the institutions are also taking. So that's what we do all day long in the room. The trading room is again, I trade every day from market open to market close. We have a lot of people in the room that they can post stocks that they're interested in. We'll talk about the stocks. We'll answer questions. There's a Discord room that you can use. We have 2 other professional traders. So this is really a very easy to understand, but fairly sophisticated trading system that anybody from a newbie to an experienced trader can use to really improve the trading results. We get it between about 85 and 90% win rate on our trades, and we have several strategies that we use to match what the market's doing. What's the best thing to do? So that's where we are. So again, I appreciate everybody listening to the video. I hope you found it useful. Focus on this compass system. It's a game changer if you know what the institutions are doing. So thanks again for listening. I appreciate it. I'll look forward to seeing you in the room.